Adam, you remember that night back in June of '82?
Yes, I do.
And actually, it was May 16th. May 16th of '82, 2:10 a.m. 2:10 a.m. in the morning, a fellow by the name of Chester Laws Jr. was murdered, killed, shot dead on the road there, 17 years old. And were you anywhere near the crime?
No, I wasn't.
Where were you at the time?
Well, at what time was this?
This was 2:10 in the morning, May 16th, 1982.
I was at 2330 North Foreign Street in North
what?
2330 North Foreign in North Philadelphia.
What was going on there?
Well, nothing was going on there. We were just really relaxing.
You know, having a little get-together, a little...
No, I lived there.
Oh, you lived there?
I was living there at that time, at that, this previous time.
And was somebody there with you at the time?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. A fellow by the name of Homer Lane at the time had told authorities that he had witnessed this murder. Could he have?
No, he couldn't have.
Why is that?
Because he was in North Philly with me.
At the time of this incident?
At the time of the incident.
Ask that question again, please.
Okay. Could he have seen the crime?
There's no way in the world he could have seen it.
Why is that?
Because he was in North Philadelphia with me.
What were you all doing at the time?
We had went up to my house to chill out till the next morning, then I was going to bring him back down to West Philly and drop him off as I was on my way to work, which would have been at 8 o'clock in the morning.
So he got home at 8 o'clock in the morning?
No, he left my house. I was going to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I told him when I was on my way to work, which is in West Philly at 62nd and Walnut, that I would drop him off en route to the gas station.
Yes.
But he left my house. He didn't want to wait for me. He left my house about 5:30, quarter to 6 in the morning.
5:30, quarter to 6 in the morning?
Right.
That's what time he had left?
That's what time he left my house.
And he was going home at the time?
Right.
Okay. So he couldn't have seen it?
There's no way he could have seen it.
And were there other people with you all at the time?
No, it wasn't. In fact, we wasn't even in the neighborhood at that time. We had left from Lansdowne Avenue approximately around 8:30, quarter to 9.
Right. So, at the time, you were fearful of commenting on it. Was there something going on at the time?
Well, at the time that you asked me if I was fearful to comment on what?
Well, at that time of the trial, the defense attorneys were trying to get witnesses, and they couldn't find witnesses because they were scared and this sort of thing. And I was just wanting to know what your story was. You couldn't testify in the case or whatever. People were scared about what was going to happen.
Well, I wasn't afraid, but at that time, I was from a different gang. I was from me and Homer was corner boys. We were from the same gang, and Carmen and them was from another gang. And at that time, we were gang warring. So it was for me to make a statement to try to help him. And then I would have problems from my corner boys that I'd be with, that I'm helping him get out of jail or helping him keep from going to jail. Then the guy's father that was killed, his father was supposed to be a gangster in Philly, and I've known him to shoot a lot of people. And at that time, I wasn't trying to go and make a statement for somebody else, and then I had to still walk around the same neighborhood, and then I'd be gunned down.
What was the name of y'all's gang?
Felton Street.
Felton Street gang?
Yeah.
And the other gang?
Well, they were Hilltop, the Moon Gang.
The Moon Gang?
Yeah.
But now it's all over. Those days are over.
Yeah, those days are over.
Yeah. And Carmen has been in prison for almost 10 years.
Right.
For something he apparently didn't do.
Right.
Just doesn't seem right, does it?
No.
And has there been any discussion on who may have been the one who actually...
it had been several conversations about, several different gangs that had posed that had did it. But I know for a fact it wasn't Carmen. I've never heard his name mentioned.
But you've heard other names mentioned?
I've heard other names mentioned.
And apparently the person who really did it is still walking around scot-free?
Absolutely. Or dead.
Or dead?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Because it's been a long time. You don't know what happened to a person in 9 years.
So you have reason to believe that person may be dead?
I'm saying it's possible he could be dead or he could be in jail. Or, nobody knows what happened. I mean, I heard several people from Osage Avenue supposed to have done it. Lansdowne Avenue supposed to have done it. And it was a very strong possibility that Birch Street had did it.
What's the strongest possibility as far as you're concerned from what all...
54th and Birch.
For what?
54th and Birch.
The 54th and Birch gang?
Yeah.
And somebody from that particular gang?
Yeah.
They were warring with...
Yeah.
And was there a particular member from 54th and Birch?
54th and Birch.
Burks.
No particular person that I knew of.
Right.
But I knew that it was a very strong possibility because a couple of nights before that we had went up there and we had stabbed a couple of people and stuff up there. And they hadn't came down the same night we did it, so they probably could have came down the next night or the night after.
Right.
It was all this was going on in this 1 week that all this happened.
All in 1 week all of this happened?
All this was going on.
What was all of that was going on in 1 week?
We had stabbed a couple of people from Birch Street. We had shot somebody from Lansdowne Avenue. We had stabbed a couple of guys from Market Street Moon Gang. All this had happened in 1 week. So I mean, just to single out just one person and say that they did it, really we couldn't do that because we had done a lot in that week to a whole lot of people.
Turf wars.
Turf wars, yeah. And the reason I know this because I was one of the Hearts, so I basically knew everything that was going on.
So, is it your impression then that there was several people that were involved, not just one?
Oh yeah, certainly.
And more likely from this Burks.
Yeah, that's the one we did most damage to that week.
And that was in retaliation for something they had done, huh?
Right. Well, it had been in retaliation because they had killed the friend of ours, Stanley Willis. I don't know if you ever recall, he went to Overbrook High School. He ran track. One of his corner boys was in our gang. And he got killed up Birch Street. They stabbed him, but he really wasn't in the gang.
Yeah.
And so his brother was our corner boy. So basically that whole year we had been going up there, desperately to try to get one of them.
So this was all that was going on in your life, and this is the reason why you couldn't go to court.
Well, the reason I didn't want to...
You in a lot of trouble.
Well, I wasn't worried about that, getting in trouble. The reason I didn't want to go is because I didn't want my own gang to do anything to me, and then the guy that had got killed, his father is definitely a gangster. Not supposed, I know for a fact he's a gangster. I don't know if he still is now. He's a little up in age now, but I've known him to have a lot of people hurt. Mm-hmm. Lots of people.
Yeah.
And I've known him to carry a gun at all times. And he will use it. And at that time, I was living up Lansdowne Avenue, and I wasn't going to say anything. And then the next day, something happened to me.
Was he pressuring at the time, trying to find somebody to point the finger at? Is that what it seemed like?
Oh, yeah, he was on a rampage. When his son got killed, it was his only son. The man was on a rampage. I mean, he had the whole Lansdowne Avenue was scared of him. Everybody up there was scared of him. Everybody knew, his reputation. Everybody my age did, They all knew his reputation, and he had the whole neighborhood scared of him. So when it happened, everybody, excuse the expression, was on his dick. Everybody's going to, you'd have seen all the guys that were going to ride with him and help him get the guy who killed his son. And plus he had money. So everybody that, all of us was using drugs, so naturally everybody that's riding with him, he's going to buy them whatever they want, and keep them high every day while they riding with him. And so naturally they're going to say this one, that one, long he keep buying the drugs for them.
Do you think somebody did that for Homer?
I know for a fact that he did that for Homer.
What did he do for Homer?
I know that every day he would give Homer 100, 200. He would make sure Homer had a bundle of dope every day. I know that he gave Homer a gun to keep with him at all times. And I know also me and Homer became enemies because I was like, you wasn't. I told Homer, I said, you was with me. How can you pick somebody? How can you say that boy did that? Fuck them niggas. They from the moon. What you got to do with it? And me and him got into a physical thing about it. But I just never went and said nothing to anybody, to have anything done about it. I just kept my mouth shut and stayed out of it.
Meantime, an innocent man is rotting behind bars.
Right.
It's a shame.
It is. But at that time when we were gang warring, they didn't care nothing about us and we didn't care nothing about them.
All right, man.
Although I never had any problems with their family because I knew their family and I knew them. They always, they was young boys to me, and they always gave me the utmost respect. You know, so, but I just didn't want to get involved. You know, I just wanted to stay out of it. But this is not the first time I made a statement. 7 years ago, I went to Carmen's lawyer and told him what happened and told him that I would come to court and testify to what happened. And somewhere down the line, the word got out, and I was threatened that if I did show up in court the day that Carmen went on trial, that somebody was going to kill me. And when that happened, I said, I'm not going. And I didn't come. I was threatened.
Makes a hell of a lot of sense.
I was living on Lansdowne Avenue I had a little room in a store, and the time that I said that I was going to do this, then 2-3 days later, my store was firebombed. It was burnt down to the ground. Everybody thought I was in there, but I wasn't in there.
Your store was firebombed?
My store was firebombed.
So you think maybe the people who did it probably thought you were dead?
They thought I was in there, but I really wasn't in there. But I knew it came from that because I had opened my mouth, said that I was going to go down to court with them.
And where was this? What was the address for the store?
6014 Lansdowne Avenue.
Does anyone have any pictures of when it was firebombed and we see what happened to it?
As bad as the fire was, the news should have probably had a picture of it. It was a bad fire that burnt all the way down to the ground.
But you don't have any pictures of it yourself where it shows it burned down to the ground, or
no?
You don't know anybody who may have that?
I don't know.
What's on the site today? Is it still?
It's just an empty lot.
It's just an empty lot.
Right.
And what was the name of the store again?
It was called Rocky's Shoe Store.
And you operated the store?
It was my mother's store, but this shoe store had closed down. Yeah. But my mother gave me the building just like she gave me this one.
And you had a little...
And I had like a couple of ping-pong machines and pool tables in there. And I had went and said that I had told Carmen and them brothers that I would come to court and tell that Homer was with me. And 2 days later, somebody came by and they threw Molotov cocktails in the door and burnt my whole building down. So when they burnt the building down, I said, well, I just thank God I wasn't there that time because it's best for me to keep my mouth shut. And I did.
And you're not doing this, you're just not saying this tonight, are you, just to help somebody and get them out of prison that maybe really did it?
What I am saying now is exactly what happened. It's the truth. It doesn't matter to me anymore, you know. I mean, I'm not in the gang no more. I'm 35 years old. I don't hang with none of them guys anymore, you know. And somebody came to me and said, look, you know, my brother's in jail, and we'd like you to tell, you know, actually what happened. And I said, well, I thought about it, then I said I would. So for almost a year, I ducked them. I knew plenty of times they were trying to get with me to ask me to go talk to them, and I used to duck them because I was still hanging in that neighborhood.
All right, Adam. Thank you very much, man.
Just stay right there and I'll get a couple setups.
You know, whenever he goes to court or whatever, I'll say the same thing in court. The exact same thing. Doesn't matter.
And what if somebody threatens you again, man?
Then they have to bring the noise.
Huh?
They have to bring the noise.
You were only 18 or 19 at the time?
I was young. I mean, I'm just saying that I'm a man now. I'm 36. I think a lot different than I did then.
Yeah.
I'm not in the gang now, but I'll hurt somebody if they bring it. But, I mean, whatever I got to say, if it's the truth, I'm going to tell it. If they want to do lawyer, you're the first person that's been in touch with me.
Yeah, as soon as I got this, man, I started calling everybody and anybody that was offered to me.
Okay.
Because I hate to see somebody wrongly,
I need you to listen to
you know. I mean, that's a real crime. The real crime is that this man was sent to bars.
Well, basically, the reason I really never said nothing either because I knew that Homer was with me, and I said, well, I know he was with me, and he didn't see it for something that a guy's making up saying, but they did it.
What was he so pissed off about it?
Well, at that time, he was supposed to be an old head from the gang, and Carmen, and him and Homer got into a physical thing, and he beat Homer up, and it was like you know, they had a personal thing.
Yeah. So he had beaten Homer up.
I mean, they had gotten, well, his friend, he had a friend that hung with him, and his friend beat Homer that day. But Homer was high, but, you know, it really was, I mean, you know, it just was vendetta. We had a thing against them.